we're being lazy. The enemy's winning this battle. But there's a new fight coming out of the people of God. This is the end of captivity. This is the end of captivity. There's a new strength and a new fight coming. Come on, open up your mouth. Come on, brete pasu bedelebelebekete. Darazondelebelebekete. Protolemandelebelebishilamadelebekete. We thank you for new strength and fight in this place tonight. Come on, open up your mouth and give the Lord some praise. Before we even get started, before you sit down, this is what I heard the Lord say before I came. When I was getting ready and I was getting dressed, I heard the Lord say that the enemy has been strong in his pursuit after legacy. And I see almost like men in this room. Please don't take this the wrong way, but I gotta say it how I see it. In the spirit, the enemy has tried to castrate you. And he's tried to cause for there to be no production in your life in the spirit. For you to not bring forth anything in the spirit. And what the Lord wants to do tonight is he wants to cause for there to be a strong production to happen inside of this house, where the men will begin to move again, and where the men will begin to establish a new legacy, and where they'll begin to establish even a new dynasty. It's almost like the enemy has came after everything connected to your name. And so now what God is doing is he's restoring your name, and he's bringing everything back in right order in this place tonight. He's bringing everything back in right order in this place tonight. Now, you ain't got to shout for that if that ain't you. But there is something that God is doing where he's going to show you that all your years of toil have not been for naught. They have not been for nothing. God is about to give you back everything that you lost. Now, that's not a cliche. That's not just something that we're saying. That's literally what he wants to do. Because he's going to do it for his name's sake. It don't look good on him for your name to be bad. God is about to do something for his name's sake. So what's about to happen now is you're about to get back the children that you lost while you were in search of identity, while you were in search of yourself. Every son that has been misplaced, God is snatching them back. The spirit of murder has hit because men are out of place. But God is sending men back. You're not talking back to me. God is sending men back. You forget that the first murder in history happened by the son of a misplaced man. Adam was misplaced in the garden to where God had to call out and say, where are you? And that seed planted in his firstborn son, it caused him to kill his other son. That's why brothers are killing brothers. Because men are misplaced and men are lost right now, trying to find identity in other things, running from the voice of God. But God now is putting out an APB out on men that have gone astray. Even sitting in church, your mind is not here. Even sitting in church in your home, you're not there. God now is putting out an APB to snatch you back because your home is in disarray while you're trying to figure out a meaning for your life. You hear me? While you're trying to figure out a meaning for your life, your home is in disarray. And so God has to bring you back to that place of seeking him and coming after him. Yes, you're going to get the careers. Yes, you're going to get all that type of stuff. But there is such a need right now for you to get back in the face of God. I cannot say that strong enough. I'm only 25 years old, so you might not want to hear me. But there is such a need for you to get back in the face of God. We have been doing everything else. We have been trying to figure out every type of way. We've been trying to do every type of thing. But right now, God is putting you in a place where you have to seek him. Where you have to seek him. When we look at our scripture in Jeremiah chapter 30, they were in captivity. Everything was stripped from them. And it wasn't until then that you saw men begin to bear down like women and begin to travail. It was not a homosexual thing. It was not a weird thing. God was asking Jeremiah a question. Have you ever seen a man give birth? Have you ever seen a man travail? I am now bringing forth men that are about to bring forth something in the spirit. They're travailing and they're growing because everything has been in disarray. And as they travail, putting them back in place. As they travail, the yoke is being broken off your neck. This day, this day, this day. Open up your mouth in this room, God. This day. That's why he said, men, when you begin to travail, it's different when a woman does it. But when a man tears down and begins to travail, you start to see sons from home, daughters from home. You put your foot down in the natural don't mean nothing if your foot is cut off from the spirit. He's telling you to bear back now. He says, so have you ever seen a man? Can a man produce a baby? The answer is obviously no. He's saying, but a man can produce a legacy in the spirit. He has to get back down and travail. He has to get back down and push. He has to get back down and move. You see, the women have been doing a lot of the praying in the church. And when we call for a prayer meeting, we see about 2 men. And they're too tired to get in travail. They're too tired to get in, have stamina and pray and really bring something to birth. Our sons should not be looking at old mothers for prayer mantles and prayer things that should come from a father. Y'all don't like that, but I'm going to tell you how it is. Our only prayer model has come from mothers. But what happens when the fathers grab and start to travail? What happens when the fathers start to be woken up early in the morning and you come in the kitchen and you see your daddy crying out? You see your father screaming out. There's a different shift in the spirit. We don't have an example of a man that really wants God. More than he wants the game and more than he wants his little thing that he has. We don't have an example of that, but now God is bringing out men that are about to travail. You're talking about stronger men. The more you travail, the stronger you get. The more you travail, the stronger you get. See, this is offensive to people that really don't want God like that. God now is testing the fact, do you really want him? Do you really want him? Because that is where everything that you need is going to come from. Adam, when Adam did what he did, the Bible says that he heard the voice of the Lord walking in the garden. He didn't hear the Lord, he heard his voice get footsteps and start walking. Which means that God will sometimes put his voice in a body and cause that thing to approach you. And so his voice can sound like many things to you. But what's happened when a man is out of place, he runs from anything that looks like the voice of God. Do you hear me? He runs from anything that looks like the voice of God. And so what God has been trying to do in services and in different things, he's been trying to come to men and tell you, get back in your place, 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 get back in your place. But because you thought it was emotional, you didn't want to hear it. Because you saw it was coming from a little boy, you didn't want to hear it. But God has been doing different things to tell you, get back in your place, get back in your place. You don't have much time left. You've got to get back in your place. This city don't got much time left. You've got to get back in your place. We're under so much captivity because women are bearing the responsibility of prayer alone. I know I'm talking right. Women are bearing the responsibility of prayer. That's why churches are dying. And men don't want to be anywhere where they feel like women are running everything. But if you would stand up and actually be a voice and actually be one that travails. Who was the one that went against Jezebel? Elijah. Hebrews talks about Elijah's prayer life before his prophecy or his power. It talks about how he bared down in prayer. You can't even fight the spirit of Jezebel till you learn how to pray. A strong man saying, enough, ain't gonna stop Jezebel. It takes somebody that bears down. The Bible says Elijah got down on his bottom and put his head between his knees and just began to rock and travail until something began to form in the atmosphere. What was it? A cloud the size of a man's hand. Which means that whenever we want something released from the heavens, the first thing we need to do is get some men that will pray. Because God will open up men's hands and cause things to drop down and cause blessings to drop down. He said, I see a cloud the size of a man's hand. Which means that the second a man starts to pray, then we witness overflow, then we witness all those different types of things. Have you ever wondered why things seem so dry? Have you ever wondered why things seem so messed up? Because a man hasn't bared down and I told you I came to communicate a burden. God is so upset at the prayer life of our men. It's like we don't get that he's trying to connect to us, because the Bible says the head of every woman is man, but the head of every man is God. Which means that you're not a proper head until he's your head. And until he really becomes your head. Until he really becomes your head. Not you get something and then sprinkle him on it. I'm talking about he directs every step and every path. She shouldn't want to follow a man that don't have God as his head. And you trying to put your foot down and say, well, I'm the man, I'm the man, I'm the man. Not really, not technically. Real men follow God. Y'all don't want to hear that. Real men follow God. There is a need for you to get in travail. And the reason why Jeremiah saw men in travail is because the city was under captivity. And they were about to get under captivity so bad that they would be so poor, so without food, that they would begin to eat their own children. Something was getting ready to happen that was going to be so terrible that men had to travail and scream like women. I don't know if you're paying attention to this day and age right now, but it's gotten so bad. Sexuality is twisted. Everything is twisted. Everything is bad. And God now is screaming for men to cry out. Have a seat real quick. Have a seat real quick. Can I teach this to you like I want to? The Bible says that in Jeremiah chapter 30, that when men begin to cry out, when men begin to scream, when men begin to travail, that he would send out deliverance. And the Bible says the yoke will be broken off of your neck. Then it says that the bonds that you are under will be burst. But then it says that you will no longer serve strangers. And sometimes when the Bible is talking about strangers, it's talking about demonic powers and demonic activities. And so one of the things that is causing us to be bound in the church right now, because this is a deliverance session, is demonic activities that happen because men will not get down and travail and pray. There is a shifting coming where God is about to cause for spontaneous things to happen in services. I'm talking about where you're not going to be able to just have service as usual, but God's glory is literally going to invade a place and move a place. Do you know what moves God's glory? Do you know what shifts God and makes God act outside of your regularly scheduled program? It's something called desperation. It's something called desperation. When I gather a room full of complacent people, I will get complacent level praise, I will get complacent level glory, and eventually I'll get complacent level results. But right now what God is doing is he's shifting men and getting you to a place of prayer, not only so that bonds can be broken, not only so that different things can happen, but so that strangers can leave your services. Strangers, different demonic spirits can leave your house. They can leave your home. They can leave your family. Are you wondering why your children are as bound as they are? It's because men are not in their place. And so strangers have occupied their homes. Strangers have occupied where they live. The Bible says that while men slept, strangers came, enemies came, and sowed tares amongst the wheat. While men slept. Now we know the Bible is genderless in some senses where it's talking about just men and women. But it's a key that shows you that men are first the gatekeepers. The gate to your home is supposed to be guarded by the man. There are certain things that women can't detect. For example, Eve is talking to a snake. Adam knows the whole time the snake is wrong. Adam doesn't say nothing because Adam's curious about getting outside of the will of God. Adam's curious about getting outside of the will of God. That's why the Bible says that when Eve takes the fruit, eats it, she gives it to Adam. It goes to show Adam is just sitting there looking at her while she's talking to the snake, trying to figure out, is she finna die when she eat this? But then I want to taste of it too. I want to see. And men have gotten curious about stepping outside of the will of God and thinking that they can leave their home another way.